Okay, this is Johnny Boy Boxing at Fight Hype. We have special guests with us here today, the family Garcia, Lisa Garcia, Henry Garcia. How you guys doing?
Hello, I'm doing
Doing
great.
great.
How are you?
Great. Thank you for asking. That's it. That's it. Thank you for joining us here at Fight Hype. I want to get right into it. You guys had a press conference at the workout with Ryan Garcia, San Diego. A lot of questions being asked. I watched some of those interviews, but let's start, ladies first. Lisa Garcia. I want to get right into it. Ryan Garcia, his mentality and his physicality. How has he been this whole 2 years, this whole year? How is he doing now?
Well, I think he's doing wonderful. I talk to him occasionally. We text, and he looks great. I saw him yesterday at his video workout, and I'm amazed. I don't even think he realized how great he looked sometimes, but he's lost the weight and he has toned up. I even told him, man, those abs are back, and he looks really good. Looks really good.
Definitely. Now he was suspended for the Ostarine. He was off for that year. Do you feel that benefited him being off for the year, or it hurt him being off away from the cameras and all that? What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about hurt him in terms of his boxing,
Yeah,
you can ask his dad about that. I personally don't think it hurt him at all because, like, I remind Ryan of who he is. You are a child that started boxing at 8 years old. You, when they asked me if Ryan could box, I said, well, the only way my boys are going to box is I know that they're going to take it serious because it's not like baseball or basketball. And I'm not saying those aren't serious sports. They're very serious sports and the guys work hard and train hard, but it's just, you're getting somebody who's gonna try to knock you out, right? And you have to really know how to defend yourself. So I said, if they're gonna work out 4 or 5 days a week for 1, 2 hours a day, every day, then I have no problem with it. And so once I said that, the boys were happy and Ryan was happy, and that's what he did. And so I remind him that, that's a lot of experience. So he has a lot of experience under his belt, and that's going to show, come that night and every night, really. I was telling a friend of mine the other day who has boys and amateurs right now, and I told her, that they really have to get serious about their workouts, and because it's not a game, boxing's not a game.
Do you feel that Ryan has fell in love with the sport again now after that layoff, and he's got rid of all the outside distractions, personal matters, and everything? Do you think he's laser sharp focused for this fight May 2nd in Times Square?
Well, I think Ryan is in love with the sport itself. He's always he's been a student of boxing. He hasn't just, oh, I just want to box because I think it's fun and and it could be fun, famous. No, he studied boxing. He watched boxing. He watched all the greats in boxing till 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. You know, I used to have a friend that I used to say, I want to be an actress. He said, no, you don't really want to be an actress. You're just in love with the fame of acting, right? And I said, no, I'm not. I said, it's okay. I'm going to start coming to your house every day and I'll give you some private lessons. And I want you to read this book and that book. So when it came to the real practical part of learning something, then the truth if you really want to do it. So I guess I didn't really want to do it in that way. I didn't take it that serious, right? But I think if you want to be great at something, then you do have to become a student of it.
Definitely. I agree with
Yeah.
that. Now, Henry, Ryan's going into a big fight against Rolly Romero. They have a history in sparring with each other. Some of the clips, Rolly was getting the better of Ryan in those sparring clips. Now, sparring isn't actually fighting, and Rolly Romero has 2 losses going into this fight. What do you think about his awkward style? It's unpredictable. Now, are you concerned a little bit about Rolly's power for this fight?
Well, I mean, I'm concerned about every boxer out there because, you got to give them credit. You can't take anybody lightly. But let me answer the first question as far as the sparring. For him getting the best out of Ryan, you're not aware that there was 2 days.
Absolutely.
So the second day is where Ryan, redeemed himself. But of course they won't show that clip. But you know what? That's the past. That's like when 8 years ago or something like that.
The sparring doesn't count anyway, but
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't count. because now it's going to be 8-ounce gloves, no headgear, no 14-ounce gloves. It's going to be just normal. Um, so we feel really good about that. And like I said, Rolly's he's a good fighter, but he's been humbled, so he might be a little hesitant. But if he wants to go ahead and throw his punches like a maniac, go ahead. But if he misses, which I'm sure he will, Ryan's a good defender. He's going to get countered, and that's going to make the big difference.
Definitely. Do you feel Rolly is dangerous for the first 4 rounds, and then after that, it'll be a lot easier to contend with him?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, both fighters are dangerous in the beginning, both. And the reason why I say that is because you're at 100%, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. That when you're as a boxer, you enter the ring at 100%, then your percentage drops. It could drop considerably, depending on how much you're getting hit. If you're not totally conditioned, or you're fighting on the back foot, so there's a lot of factors involved. So when the boxer goes in there, he's got to be totally in shape. He's got to be ready, and we just worry about ourselves, because we know that we're ready. And I'm telling you, Ryan's gonna come out pretty positive.
Definitely. Well, this is Times Square. This is a big event, first time in
Yeah,
history, open event. He has to look spectacular in this performance. Do you think he knocks out Rolly Romero?
I believe he will. I believe he will. Yes. Yeah. I mean, remember
Garcia.
you mentioned the 4 rounds, the early 4 rounds, but if you look at when he fought Pitbull Cruz, he got cracked. I think the first or second round. I think the first round. So it doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You've got to be prepared, and can you really take a punch? See, that's the thing. To me, he's like a Haney. They're good if you stand there, but once they get caught, can they handle the punch? And so far, history shows that they can't. Neither one of them.
Definitely.
So
Now,
that's going to be the difference too.
exactly. Now, I was over the weekend. I was in Atlantic City watching the Jaron Boots Ennis fight with Stanionis. It was a tremendous display of talent from Jaron Boots.
Right.
Switch hitter like Terrence Crawford. He can move at different angles. He's very
Right.
elusive. He was clipped a few times, but he showed that he had a good chin. Did you guys tune into the fight? And I heard Ryan speaking about Jaron Boots Ennis. He said that he gets hit a lot. What do you guys, your thoughts on, is that the super fight that we have at 147?
That is going to be a super fight because, yeah, I mean, he is elusive, but Ryan is too, But the thing is that Booth Ennis, he hasn't fought anybody like Ryan's power, And yeah, he gets hit, but if he gets hit with Ryan, results can be different, And just like they said about Haney, I have to refer back to Haney. People thought he was like pound for pound, And
I think it's not just the punch, it's just that I feel like Ryan has power that comes from all different resources, his speed,
yeah,
just how quick he is, where sometimes some of the guys have said they didn't see it.
right.
So, his
Speed
power
is
comes from a
power.
lot of different tools.
Yeah,
Speed is
Yeah.
power. I definitely agree with
speed
that.
is power.
He has those cat-like reflexes. I'm sure he's faster in most people's opinion, faster
Right,
than Boots Ennis. But Jared Boots Ennis is naturally 147. He'll probably come in at 154. He was looking to move up himself.
right,
Do you think
right.
that Ryan's power will carry to 147? He wouldn't have any issues. I'm sure he spars with heavier opponents, right?
Yeah, he wouldn't have any issues at all. He has the height for it. That's the thing. When you're short and you want to move up, that's where it becomes dangerous because now you're fighting guys that are higher, that taller than you, but they've got natural walking weight. So it's like you're fighting them at their natural weight. You don't have
Mhm.
to, gain or lose so much. I mean, you just gotta be careful. You gotta understand the science of boxing. You only move up when you feel you have the ability to. not just because the money's there. You have to understand that there's a science behind this. You have to have the height to make that weight. And once you realize that, then it's a good matchup. So it'll be perfect for Ryan and Boots Ennis.
Yeah, I think Ryan's going to be great at these upper weights.
Yeah, especially
Mhm.
154 too. I mean, that's down the road, of course, but 147 is ideal weight for him.
How high can Ryan go? Do you think it's a 160?
I would say 154 will be his ultimate, unless he becomes like a Roberto Duran. He goes higher than that, but middleweight, which is 165. but I would say 154 to me is pretty reasonable to say.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Now, I want to talk about Turkey. You guys are working with Turkey. There was an issue with Shakur Stevenson and Turkey Al Sheikh.
Yeah.
Apologized because I guess Turkey offered him a number, then they came with another number, but now they fixed everything. From your perspective, how is it working with Turkey Al Sheikh for this huge mega event? What do you guys think about him coming into boxing?
Well, he's. Did you ask her or me? Because
Both of us. Both of
I
us.
met him. I met him. In New York. I met with him, and he's got good plans for Ryan and other boxers as well. So, what I like about him is that he understands what people want, what the, spectators want. They want to see good fights. They don't want politics getting involved, meaning promoters, managers, contracts. They want to just eliminate all that and cut to the chase and go through the process of, hey, man, here's the money. You want to fight him? Because money talks. And
Well, this is how I feel. Honestly, I feel like, okay, this is like, when you have a grand opening for a business.
Yeah.
I feel like, the Times Square, the Alcatraz, that's his grand openings, right? Because you can't do that forever. I mean, maybe they could, but why would you? You got to make good business sense, right? The money, but you're not selling pay-per-view, right? So
yeah.
I don't know. The Zone is there. I know that the DAZN streaming, right? But is it pay-per-view? I'm not sure. I haven't heard,
No,
but this.
it's free. It's free, but I'm sure some networks are going to charge something. I'm not,
I'm just saying, as they move forward, I think that what
Mhm.
fans want, yeah, they want to see the great fight, but they want to be able to see it on pay-per-view, like the old times, like HBO. That's what makes it exciting, is
Right.
people being able to get to the fights, see the fights, live, or see it at home with their families. And, it's a big
Mhm.
deal in a lot of families,
Yeah.
and I think that's what people will miss. And I think we can't forget about that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of HBO, Jim Lampley, they hired him to commentary.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and so that's going to be good for
Makes it
boxing.
exciting.
Yeah, because he really knows boxing himself.
So
Um,
Johnny Boy, do you know if
mhm.
this idea with Dana White and a league, is that like a separate thing happening on top of maybe big fights happening at big arenas like in Las Vegas, T-Mobile,
Well,
New
I can
York?
answer that, babe. I mean, yeah, it is a difference. Yeah, because the
No, no, no.
pace.
I'm not saying about a difference. I'm saying they're going to do the league, but are they also going to do, because what they announced that they were going to pay the fighters, I'm not sure that's going to work for big name fighters, but so that's why I'm asking. Are they
Mhm.
going to do like big name fighters where they're going to pay these fighters what they are used to getting paid for pay-per-view fights? Or are they, do you know what I mean, Johnny Boy? I don't know if I'm making any sense.
I wanted to ask you guys about Dana White. I spoke to him at the Garden, and we were talking a little bit about the numbers and stuff like that. Fighters getting overpaid for mega events, and then they don't want to fight each other and face each other because they're making so much money. So I want to know what your perspective was. If you guys agree with Dana White and Turkey paying the lower tier fighters
That,
less money,
yeah.
the other fighters they'll get bonuses kind of similar
Well,
to the UFC.
let me clarify that. Yes, Dana White's gotten into the boxing scene, but he really doesn't know boxing. He's in it for, maybe the glory of it, what he did with UFC. So he's not going to transition into this sport, even though Turkey Al Sheikh, is having ties with him. But, it's good for people that are moving up. It's good for them. I'm not going to lie. It's good because they want to
Prospects
make a
and
little bit.
contenders?
Well, yeah, they're gonna make some, good money, and not excellent money, but good enough to stay in the sport. As far as the superstars, they're like elite players in basketball, in hockey or football. These are guys that you can't go backwards anymore. Once you set a price, of what, even promoters can't go backwards. If you're giving somebody $2 million, you're not gonna step down and say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna give you 200,000 for this fight. Can't do that anymore,
Yeah.
because you've already set the tone for these elite boxers. And so be it, because they're giving the crowd what they want, and they're bringing the crowd in, just like Tank Davis, Ryan, my son Canelo, Bivol, Crawford. These are fighters that, well, not Crawford. Crawford is still, or Shakur. They don't bring in the money, but you got the big ones. Tank, Ryan, Bivol, and Canelo. These are fighters, elite fighters, that they're gonna bring the crowd with them, which is
They're
sales.
gonna sell the seats, they're gonna sell the
Right,
pay-per-views, they're gonna sell the
right.
merch, everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, you got to pay them. I mean, you got to also give them a part of the gate money as well,
So,
because they're doing that. So everybody wins when you have elite fighters. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Everybody goes out and starts eating filet mignon.
But I don't think that your question is, does that stop fighters from fighting each other because they make so much money? If they lose, they don't want to lose that money. Come on, no.
No, no, no,
At
no.
least I can speak for my son, Ryan. You want Ryan, like, he's willing to fight Ennis, right? Ryan has been that way since the amateurs. He wants to
Right.
fight the top guys because if he could beat the top guys, then he knows he's a top guy, right? But if you're not gonna, yeah, you already got your feet wet. You've been in boxing 6 years. It's time to fight each other. And that's what all the guys have to start to do, is stop worrying about the money, do what you love, fight when you know you have to fight, and the money will come. That's what I
Well,
think.
yeah. Well,
I I
that's one
agree.
side of it too. Yeah, that's one side. The other side is keep in mind that it's a dangerous sport, and you have to realize that when you get in the ring, things can happen, good or bad.
Yeah, but
So
that's okay. We all know somebody has to lose.
yeah,
We all know
no, I'm
somebody's
talking
gonna.
about seriously hurt, babe. Where you have to pay these guys, because you can get killed in that ring.
Right, but that's why I'm saying they already got their feet wet. They've been
Right.
in it now, like for 6 years. Ryan's been in it for 6 years now. Of course, he's gonna want to fight the top guys. But when
Absolutely.
you're been in it for 6 years, come on, you can't say, "Oh no, I don't want to fight that guy. I don't want to fight. I might lose." No, it's time to step up.
Yeah.
You need to fight, and you're
Well,
gonna get paid
they're not
well.
going to allow you to fight, nobodies or stepping stones anymore at
Yeah.
that level.
Hmm.
You have to make challenges that are credible, so that
Right.
people can be excited again. That's what makes boxing
Yeah,
very
but look
exciting.
at, they wanted at the beginning, they wanted Ryan to fight people that were like, wait, like, let the guys get in there, get a
Yeah.
feel for being a pro, get some fights under their belts, maybe
Right.
some championships, and then when they feel like, okay, this kid already is a prospect, is a contender now, it's time to
Mhm.
step up. Like Emiliano Vargas, he too, he's coming to that place now where he's coming a contender, right?
Is it
But
Mhm.
Nick?
so he's getting paid what a contender should get paid. You get paid what a prospect should get paid. But when you make it to that level where you can fill the seats, you can sell pay-per-views,
Mhm.
and you are becoming a superstar, then yeah, you gradually got to start making a lot more money because you're
Absolutely.
contributing now. You're
Right.
not just an investment anymore. You're actually going to help the
Right.
promoter make money now.
Right. Everybody wins. That's what I said.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That's why Ryan's headlining this event, because he has the looks, he has the hooks, he has that star power of a matinee idol. Yeah, he has the women,
Right.
so he has the Instagram followers. What is it, 12 million
Right.
followers at this point right now?
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
is a superstar. He's great for boxing. But
Mhm.
with what you mentioned, Jim Lampley. I just interviewed him, and I was supposed to meet him yesterday for a book signing. But I embrace bringing the old commentators back, like Jim Lampley,
Sure.
great guy. So I enjoyed that about Turkey. With
Right.
White and Turkey together, is that a good combination? Will that did you like?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Yeah, that's a good combination, and Turkey Al-Sheikh understands marketing. Trust me,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
what he showed us over there in New York was amazing. So he's got good plans for the boxers. But another thing he mentioned was he also wants to put Ryan in movies.
Oh,
You know
that's what I said.
yeah,
He's
he's
similar to Oscar De La
yeah,
Hoya in that route where Oscar,
yeah,
he was at the Grammys, he made a song and
yeah.
everything. So
Right. So I mean, there's other options out there, but he's really happy with Ryan. Trust me. And the good thing is that Turkey Al-Sheikh's
Well,
kids.
I'm not like I'm
Uh-huh.
not all crazy about all that whole idea about,
movie theater, the Hollywood, that's
yeah, the Hollywood stuff. If
because of those
Ryan could,
people. But is it because of the people in Hollywood that'll get around the Ryan, the bad seeds?
yeah, this was, as soon as Ryan, I think by the time they want to put him in movies and stuff, he'll be 30-ish, when he's done with his
Yeah,
boxing career. And, he'll be more mature and so forth. So, and his feet grounded and stable. Yeah, no problem, but when they're young and they're in Hollywood, you really gotta keep an eye on your children
that's
and
true.
There's a lot of
keep them
temptation.
close to you. For now, he could work for Angel Studios. You heard of Angel Studios? They're
Yes,
the
it's
most
true. The cartoon, the Jesus movie now. Man. Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a man
No
of faith,
Disney,
so we're
please.
proud of
No
him.
Disney, please.
No, yeah, no Disney. I mean, Angel Studios. Shout out to you.
Yeah, there you go.
Angel Studios, shout out.
Absolutely, I love their movies. But
Yeah, I do too.
Lisa, final message to Rolly, Jaron Boots Ennis, everybody at the 147-pound weight division, Brian Norman Jr., Mario Barnes. What do you have to say to them?
I'm sorry, repeat your question again. I'm still laughing over the whole.
The final message to Rolly Romero, Jaron Boots Ennis, and everybody at 147.
I think like everyone, they think what they think sometimes, and then it's a whole different experience once they're in the ring with Ryan. From what I hear from some of his past and prior opponents, like they just didn't know, and now they will know.
They'll
I'll
find
put
out.
it. I'll put it more in perspective. There's a new kid in the block. So watch out for that.
That's it, 140.
And that's Ryan Garcia
That's
at
it.
147.
Well, Henry, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us at Fight Hype. It's Johnny Boy Boxing. We appreciate your time. I'll see you guys May 2nd in person. Can't wait to see you in person, Henry. Lisa.
All right, brother.
All right.
Take care, brother.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.